Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of Blue Box Banter, a Doctor Who recap podcast done by two ex-Doctor Who addicts now revisiting their nostalgic obsession. In this episode, your hosts Sid and Bee will be looking at the very first episode of the reboot of Doctor Who, Season 1, Episode 1, Rose. They hype up everyone's favorite working-class girl-boss companion, ask the question, does the Ninth Doctor have autistic rizz, and make fun of 2005 CGI plastic monsters. Please sit back and enjoy our unhinged and easily distracted recap of this episode of Doctor Who.
Okay. 2005. 2005. First episode of Doctor Who to come out since 1989. That is an entire decade without Doctor Who.
March 26th.
March 20... I don't even... I mean, we were... I
Six.
was 6.
We were both 6.
Oh, yeah, because March, yeah. We were both 6 years old, never watched the show. I didn't even know it existed for another 10 years after that. Like 8 years.
I was gonna say, I think I got introduced to it when I was like 11 or 12 by my friend who lived up the road, whose dad was from Liverpool. So that was the big thing.
You got the like, genuine introduction. I got the Tumblr introduction.
Oh, God. I didn't even know Tumblr existed yet.
See, okay, what happened? This is like our introduction of how we learned about Doctor Who, I think. Basically, I had a Facebook account at 12.
I wasn't allowed Facebook.
See, I was allowed at age 12. I had a Facebook account and I followed meme accounts and they would post screenshots of Tumblr and I'd be like, what is this weird format? Because it was so different from Facebook and like all these shows like Doctor Who, Supernatural that were really popular. And I was like, what is this? Finally, I made a Tumblr account. Hated it. Deleted, like, did not go back on for another year. Made another Tumblr account. And then that was when the, I think they were ramping up for the 50th special, or at least it was a year before that. And I was like, oh, this show is cool. It's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it. I think, actually, no, it wasn't on Netflix then. I didn't have a Netflix account in 2013, I don't think. What happened is I downloaded the first season of the 11th Doctor onto my iPod Touch. And I watched the 11th hour, and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever watched in my life. How have I never watched this before? And then I watched the entire season on my iPod Touch. And then I think I went back to Tumblr and, like, got into the fandom a bit. And then, I don't remember. It must have been on Netflix by, like, 2014. That's when I started watching it. And I went back and rewatched it from the beginning. And there's a specific moment where I think I experienced heartbreak for the first time. I had made like a blanket fort on my floor and I watched The End of Time.
Oh, God.
And this is the only memory I have of like watching Doctor Who other than the 11th Doctor is I was sitting in my pillow fort that I made at the age 15 and I watched the Doctor say goodbye to Rose Tyler and I was sobbing so hard. My sister came in and was like, hey, how are you doing? I'm like, I remember this so clearly because I could not see the screen. I was crying so hard. I think, yeah. And then that's when I started, like, actually getting, like, I was like, I understand now.
Do you know what's insane? I wasn't on Tumblr until, like, maybe after my Who obsession.
Oh my God.
I experienced it alone. Like...
That is a pure Doctor Who experience.
That's the funny thing is I was involved in, like, most of those fandoms, but I didn't go on Tumblr.
You weren't tainted.
I wasn't. Like, it took me until, like, I was 16 to make my first Tumblr account. Because I think at the time, Tumblr kind of had a bad reputation, and I was a pick-me, so, like, I wasn't one of those feminists. So, like, I was off Tumblr because I wasn't a Tumblr girl. I wasn't into that stuff.
Yeah.
I went on Wattpad, but I didn't go on Tumblr.
Wattpad, that was, yeah. Unfortunately, I went through the whole Super Wholock phase on Tumblr from age 14 to...
Now?
No. I stopped watching Supernatural and Sherlock. I left that in the 2010s. But, yeah, I was part of that. If you look on my Tumblr archives and go through, like, 2013 to 2015, it's all Doctor Who and Sherlock and Supernatural. But obviously only one of those shows ended up coming back in the Doctor Who really is the only show that stayed relevant.
Yeah. It's a perfect, like, reintroduction because I think at that point the show had been off the air for, like...
It was off the air for 15 years.
Yeah.
And then a movie came out in 1996 or something.
I think so.
And it flopped so hard that they couldn't even consider a TV show for another 10 years. until 2005, the fateful year of
Yes.
every TV show that ever existed coming out at the same year.
Yeah, the Eighth Doctor started in 96. I think he began and ended in 96.
No, he had one single movie.
Yeah.
He did not have a TV show. He had a single movie. And it was specifically... Did we talk about this? It was specifically it was produced by an American company. It was filmed in Canada.
From the Wikipedia, it says the character was introduced in the 96 TV film Doctor Who, a backdoor pilot produced in an unsuccessful attempt to relaunch the series following its 89 cancellation. So it had technically been off the air for like 15 years. Yeah. That's 16 crazy.
Years. And it was so funny because they tried to make it for an American audience, which is bananas.
Yes.
But even though it was specifically made for an American audience, it only got like 6 million views or something.
Which is not good.
But then when they released it in the UK, it got like twice as many. It's almost like that show was made for
British people,
a British audience.
Yeah, it's so like that explains why when they did the special, they went back and replaced him with John Hurt.
Yeah,
poor guy. But yeah, so it does make sense that they would like relaunch the Doctor through the like eyes of a companion as opposed to like immediately jumping right to following him
because it was like people, especially it was a completely new generation. Mm-hmm. There were children that were born in '89 that did not grow up with Doctor Who.
No, unless they were like forced to watch like
by their parents
VHSs.
So it was like it was a whole new world. I mean, it was also the new millennium.
Oh God, with all of the flip phones.
And new technology. There's a whole new, unfortunate confession to people that are like huge Doctor Who fans. I've never seen any of the old episodes. I never will.
I've watched a couple classic Who, but I'm talking like first Doctor. Yeah. Like I don't think I've watched anything.
A lot of those episodes are just gone now, so you can't watch them.
That's the bummer thing, right? For a little while, that was the funny thing is I got introduced to Doctor Who by my friend whose dad was from Liverpool, so he grew up watching Doctor Who, like classic Who. Mm-hmm. And she made me watch Love and Monsters as the first episode that she introduced me to Doctor Who. Obviously didn't like it.
No.
And then eventually I was like, oh, Doctor Who's on Netflix, Canadian Netflix. Mm-hmm. But all they had was classic Who, and it was only like 5 random seasons. Yeah. Like, it wasn't cohesive, and it wasn't... I'm trying to remember which Doctor it was now, too, because...
That's why I didn't watch it either, because it was, like, the most random episodes, and I like watching, like, from start to finish.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm not gonna get a good taste of who these characters are.
I think what happened is... Did you ever watch the Sarah Jane Adventures?
No.
Oh my God, we have to watch the Sarah Jane Adventures. The, like, children's spin-off of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Like, that was the intention. Like, I think at the time you had the Sarah Jane Adventures, Doctor Who, and Torchwood all airing at the same time. So it was, like, every, like, age gap. Like, you had, like, the kids, the family.
Doctor Who.
Dr. Sarah Wood.
I didn't like that.
Torch Who Jane. Nothing is good. So you had like the kids version with the Sarah Jane Adventures, then you had like the family-ish version of Doctor Who, and then like
Torchwood was the After Dark.
Doctor Who After Dark.
That was awful.
So I think my friend had me watch a couple episodes of Sarah Jane, and so I wanted to watch her original season, and so I tried to watch it on Netflix, and then it was like, nope, this isn't any of the seasons you're looking for. So I think I watched like the really infamous episode where the first time a Dalek ascends a stair.
Oh my God.
Oh, I love being in a fandom where going up the stairs was like mind-blowing. Oh my God.
Well, I think, that's funny to think about, like, because there's the one episode later in the season where Sarah Jane comes back.
Yes.
And I could tell that there was something, like, there had been a spin-off, but I didn't know the first time I watched the show. But yeah, it was an interesting reintroduction to an entire new world of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That would never end.
Yes. I love that show. We have to watch it. We're going to find it and watch it because it was ridiculous. Their like first major enemy after the pilot, I think, was the Slovene, which is just like unhinged. And like my friends and I like really like had an ego about being able to say like the Slovene homeworld. Raxacoricophalobatorius.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah! We were those fans, baby!
I don't think I could say it, and I'm not gonna try. I'm a fake fan.
I think I said the first episode that I watched was Love and Monsters, and it scarred me because I was not a horror person at the time.
Literally, like, body horror.
It literally was, like, I was haunted by the, like, faces in his, like, gross, flabby body.
Oh my God.
And I was like, you enjoy this? Like, what did you just make me watch? And I, like, went home and was, like, traumatized for, like, a week. And at the time, my friend was watching all of Who with her dad and her older sister. And eventually they got up to, I don't even know which season it would have been, one of the seasons, 11 seasons, with the doctor's wife. And then they had, and they were like, okay, we're watching Doctor Who tonight. We have to, like, rehabilitate you from that terrible episode that you watched. Come over.
The worst episode you could ever watch first.
Literally, like, she didn't know. It's not her fault. But I was just like, why are you guys obsessed with this show? And the doctor's not even in it.
He's in it for, like, 2 seconds. Because of there was an issue with
it's scheduling.
And budget.
It's because they have to, there's a certain amount of time that they're supposed to have off, basically, because that's how they save money. Because, like, if there's, like, 15 episodes in a season, they really only have the budget to pay David Tennant for 14 of those episodes. So they have to do one without him, or one where they only have to pay him for, like, a day of shooting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's the reason why, I mean, that's how we got the Angels. Like, that's kind of how that works.
Oh, yeah, because that was another one. But they did a good job with that one.
The one time that Moffat actually, like, gets his act together. Well, that and the Empty Child.
Because the horror episodes, like, horror as a genre is such a good genre to use, like, with low budget. Because you can do so much with it.
Nothing.
Literally. But Love and Monsters was not it.
That was not it. Not at all. And then, I think I told you, I was writing fan fiction before I even knew what fan fiction was. Yeah. I was writing Doctor Who self-insert fan fiction before I even knew what the concept of fan fiction was. Like, I have, like, I'm sure it's still on my computer somewhere. I'd have to look. It'd be so funny if I find it, I am reading it on this.
You know what? Confession, I wrote all of my self-insert fan fiction into a diary. So I have the physical copy. I still have it.
Oh!
It is a book that I got for Christmas in 2013. It has Sherlock, Doctor Who, and Supernatural.
Not the Super Wholock tome. Oh my god.
Literally, there's, like, at least 10 pages of, like, me starting a story of me meeting whatever the character is. And because I only wrote down my fanfiction by hand, like some kind of nerd. No! But yeah, that was until I learned about Wattpad.
It was me, my friend who introduced me to Doctor Who, her older sister, and her best friend, and we all had, like, all of our names in the story, because it was self-insert, were just, like, other names that had the same starting letter. I don't remember what our names were, but so it's, like, if one of them was named, like, Kate, it would have been like Katrina, like that, like it would have been like something like that.
That way, it's not like super.
Exactly.
It's like there's a limit.
It's we can have the same starting letter, but it can't be our names. That's not how this works.
I might have written a self-insert fan fiction about a different fandom where I did use my name.
That's amazing.
And I did publish it on Wattpad, and it did get like 17,000 like views.
Is it still there?
No, I raised my Wattpad account. It might be in like archived, but
you coward. I still have my One Direction fanfiction my friends forced me to write on Wattpad, and I find it now and then, and I'm like, I showed my friend the Ninth Doctor, and we literally did the watch a full season in a sleepover thing.
Oh my god.
So we watched like the first 2/3 of the season like the night before, and then woke up and like until like 2:00 in the afternoon finished the season. And she's literally I have the vivid memory of her sitting on my living room floor just sobbing profusely at the end of season 1.
Oh my god.
And I was like, Bestie, if you're this beat up, I don't know how you're gonna handle the next few. And she was and like watching 9 regenerate, she was just losing it. It was so funny.
Doctor Who really is your first heartbreak.
It really is.
Like, because you get really attached to this character, and it's the same character, but it's like, it's not the same.
It's not the same, because they got different energy.
My friend, because I think I started watching Doctor Who separately, and then my friend, like, was also a fan, and I think because her dad is, like, British or whatever, so, like, there was a background there. And I remember specifically we went to his house for Comic-Con in like 2014, and we watched the Silence in the Library episode.
Oh.
While there was a storm coming in.
Oh,
so
no.
The power went out.
Oh, no.
In the middle of the episode, and I almost peed my pants. But that was like, I think we watched, she even like painted me a thing of the 50th anniversary of there's a picture from Tumblr of the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor wearing flower crowns, because it's...
Oh, no.
And, like, tutus. Like, someone had photoshopped this, and she painted it for me, and it sat on my room, like, on my wall for years, until it finally, like, fell apart. But I was like, that is the era that me and her were part of. The, like, Tumblr era, the flower crowns, the cute edits and stuff like that.
It's so weird to, like, hear someone who's actually in the fandom, like, experiencing fandom, because it was literally just me and my friend, like, doing the weird shit. She, like, went as the TARDIS for Halloween one year. Or it was her or her older sister, I don't remember which one. But my favorite thing was, and, like, I wish I had gotten a hold of it somehow it got, like... I don't know if it was an official thing that they released, or it got leaked or something, but... online you could find the, like, actual blueprints to make a Dalek costume. And so they were, like, determined that they were gonna make this thing, and they never did it, but I was like, because, like, the thing that cracked us up was the fact that in, like, the list of things to make, like, this Dalek was a whisk and a plunger. Like, that was actually the things, and we were, like, dying laughing. We were like, this is incredible.
It was really funny, because I think Doctor Who is the only... one of the only shows that I haven't cosplayed yet. It's gonna happen eventually.
Well, we have to.
Yeah.
We've not even talked about the first episode, Bestie.
No, we haven't. I think now we should talk about it.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That was kind of what I was picturing, is we talk about our background in Doctor Who. What our qualifications are.
What our qualifications 10 years of obsession with this bitch, man.
Me being a very online person, you being a completely offline person.
Disconnected.
Which is ironic, because you wrote your fanfictions on a computer. I wrote mine in a journal.
Yeah, no, mine was in a word-perfect document. Like, like God intended.
I will bring in my journal next time. It has some angsty teenage stuff, but it is literally like a leather-bound, like, and there's a string that goes around it. Oh my God,
yes.
And I wrote down every single year that I've used it. And it's funny, because in the same journal that I wrote me meeting the doctor, is me talking about COVID. And
that is unhinged.
So it's literally because I don't use it that often, only when I need to, like, rant about something. So I literally have this, like, tome from like 10 years of just things that have happened in my life.
When you're famous, you gotta publish that.
I don't think I can.
Memoirs.
I don't think I can. There's some embarrassing stuff in there.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Let's get into this first episode. Russell T. Davies, executive producer. One of the more cursed sentences you can read.
Oof. He's an interesting guy.
I will say most of, like, the earlier episodes, like, I prefer his writing style over Moffat, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like, at least he knows how to end a story.
I mean, he knows how to start a story as well. Like, Rose was such a great episode, but also when I was rewatching season 3, there's so many, like you would see, like, the Atmos, like, sticker in the background, like the Bad Wolf, throughout the entire series. Like, it's a little, like, not the best writing, like, breadcrumb writing, but it is, at least it's something.
At least it, like, the season has a through line that doesn't then go into the next season's through line that then goes into the next season's through line. Like, how many seasons did we get of, like, the silence?
Oh my God.
Like, genuinely. And then, like,
and what did it even amount to? I couldn't tell you.
Like, the whole, like, silence will fall from when the question is asked.
And the question is Doctor Who. It's like, get out of here.
Get your head out of your ass, sir. I hated that. Like, when they were like, oh, the question is Doctor Who, and you're like...
No. Go to jail.
Straight to jail. Do not get out. Do not collect $2,000.
But also, because it puts so much focus on the Doctor as a character, instead of what Russell T. Davies did was focus on the companion.
Yes.
I mean, with Rose. Martha got...
We'll get to Martha.
Yeah. But Rose, the first episode is literally her name.
So it starts, and it's one of the most relatable
things. The year of our
things.
Lord, 2005.
It's aggressively 2005.
You got hoodies, you got loose jeans, you got
layering,
bleach blonde hair.
Just the mascara on
Oh
Rose.
my god, Rose. First of all, Rose Tyler.
Gorgeous.
And I feel like people started to get a little bit annoyed about her character later on because she just kept getting brought back and people would be obsessed with her. She's a great character.
She's amazing.
Like, if you actually go back, because I was like, Rose Tyler, let's get over it.
Oh my god, we brought her back like 4 times.
I know, and I went back and watched the first season. I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I loved her. Like, this is why people loved her so much.
Yeah.
Because she's a great character.
Did you know that Billie Piper, like the actress who plays Rose, had a singing career?
Yeah, she was a pop star.
Yeah.
Like a teenage pop star before Doctor Who.
It would basically be like putting Britney Spears into like...
They did put Britney Spears into the second episode.
Yes. I mean, like, but could you imagine like actual Britney Spears being in like a television show? Like right around when she was getting super popular. I was obsessed with this one Billie Piper song. I'll have to like listen to it again.
I've never listened to any of her music.
She slapped. It was early 2000s, good times. I can't remember the song. I'll have to look it up again. I just know that the YouTube video of the music video was like one of those like 480p, like no quality videos, and I was like, ah yes, the love of my life.
I was just obsessed with her. I think it was funny because when I watched the 11th Doctor, I liked Amy, but I wasn't super attached, and then when I went back and watched the first season, I was like, Rose Tyler.
I think
my
because
bestie.
Rose is so much more relatable.
Yeah.
She works a shitty, like, retail job. Like, that's how we're introduced to her, is her working at, like, a mall.
She works at a what's the word?
A clothing store?
Like a clothing store, but it's a department store.
It's like the Hudson Bay or Sears or something like that.
She works at an awful department store where she's, like, this 19-year-old that probably just graduated high school, whatever. Like, she literally, in this episode, she mentioned she doesn't have a future, she doesn't have a life, she has a boyfriend, but she has a boyfriend.
All they do is get pizza together.
Yeah, she has a boyfriend in the sense that she has no one else to hang out with. Poor Mickey, but also...
Mickey.
You know.
I always forget that Rose is supposed to be 19.
I know. They put a lot of mascara on her.
And that mascara adds 3 years on a bitch.
She looks good.
She looks really good.
She doesn't look like she's supposed to be 19.
No, I think she was like 21 though. Like she was not that much older. It was not one of those cases where they cast a 25-year-old to play a 16-year-old.
I think it is funny though because in the first season they obviously don't super ramp up her like romantic vibe until the end, and like but even the kiss at the end, like we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but it's not romantic.
It feels borderline platonic.
Yeah, and they waited for her to get to like 21 before. Yeah, I think it was she wasn't an immediate like romantic interest for the Doctor. She was literally his like, I don't want to say sassy best friend, but like she literally would call him out on things.
He was her sassy best friend.
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
She was very much like very, I don't know how to explain, like, well, one, she was working class, and in that episode, you see how much she's like, she doesn't have money. Her mom doesn't have, she lives with her mom. Her mom's kind of mean to her. Her
mom is so ridiculous. We're not there yet, but I gotta keep it in the back of my head. Let's keep going, because I have some words about
Jackie Tyler.
Jackie Tyler. So she like has to go. Is she going to do the deposit? I think that's what it is. She has to go into the basement.
She has to bring the lottery money.
That's what it was.
Yes.
So she goes downstairs, and immediately ooky spooky times start. Yeah. And then all of the mannequins wake up.
Oh my god, I hate it.
It's so cursed. Markiplier could never watch.
I mentioned this to my sister, that you see the real mannequins in the background, and then you can tell which ones are people just wearing mannequin suits, because suddenly the mannequins have real proportions.
Yes. You're like, oh wow, a realistically shaped mannequin. I wonder who that could be.
And also, all of these mannequins that are sitting in the basement are just clothed for some reason.
That's like, that would not happen. That's stock that needs to be upstairs.
Someone was having a little bit too much fun with those mannequins.
I like to think that there was a version where they weren't clothed and they just had these weird ass white ass mannequins. And the BBC was like,
around. We can't have naked mannequins.
It like just like full Ken doll like walking around. I think that'd be so funny.
So immediately after that, she meets the Doctor.
Yes.
And I think it's adorable that their first meeting was them holding hands.
Yes.
Basically, like he grabs her hand and tells her to run. because they hold hands a lot.
A lot.
I even, in my notes, I kept a tally of every time they hold hands.
Really?
I'm up to the first 2 episodes, three times.
That's so cute.
Which is a lot for someone you've just met.
I just need to say, I will always have a special place in my heart for 9. Like, I think he is so underrated.
They both have such, like, lower class, working class energy that I think it was such a great reintroduction to the Doctor.
He's relatable.
He's both human and also, like, very alien.
Yeah.
But also when Rose first meets him, he's very, like hardened. Obviously, this is kind of coming off of
this is like post-war Doctor, yeah.
He's very traumatized.
Yes. PTSD
but
Doctor.
Rose doesn't let him get away with anything, which I think is a great introduction to them because, well, this is what we were talking about earlier. The entire episode is about Rose.
Yes.
It's called Rose. The Ninth Doctor barely shows up.
He's not in it a lot.
He's not in it. And because you're watching it as the viewer, in her eyes of learning about this character,
is this
alien.
A human? Is he a terrorist? Is he an alien? I need to talk
Jackie
about
Tyler.
There's a man in my room, and I'm just in my nightie, and
he's like,
could
happen.
Cool. Like immediate trying to hit on him.
There's something so funny about the 2005 humor in this because it's very much, it's a little misogynistic, the like mother-in-law.
Oh god. I mean, Jackie Tyler.
But at the same time, the way that Jackie is written, but at the same time, that's just how moms were in 2005. Yeah. And it is also hilarious that
he's standing in her doorway and she does the, like, closes her nightgown a little bit, but, like, not enough that it's really effective. There's a strange man in my room.
Meanwhile, her teenage daughter's, like, traumatized.
Anything can happen, and he's like, nope, and then just leaves. Like, he was not having a second of it.
Oh my god.
Also, like, the fact, okay, I just need to dissect this scene for a minute, because I'm losing my mind. Her 19-year-old daughter brings home by the looks of it, 40-something-year-old man. Who is this man? Why is she bringing him home?
Rose says that he's come to talk to her about insurance or something.
Yeah.
Very vague.
Very vague. Rose has a boyfriend, so that should already be suspect. He's clearly not dressed like an insurance broker of any kind.
So she just lets her 19-year-old daughter bring in this
40-year-old middle-aged man. And then immediately, for all she knows, I don't think she's thought this far ahead. For all she knows, this is, like, Rose's mistress, basically. Whatever the male equivalent of a mistress is.
I don't know.
And then immediately hits on him. For all you know, this man has slept with your daughter, and you're trying to get with him.
You know what? Jackie Tyler, she gets around.
She's something. We love a sex-positive woman. I respect it. It's just the time and place. It's time and place, ma'am. You gotta gauge what's going on. Oh, and can we talk about the fact that she does not hear what could potentially be her daughter being thrown about the living room in some kind of context?
I mean, okay, you remember how loud machines were back then. She turns on her hair dryer and it is so loud.
I know, but like, you had to have heard something.
I love the acting in that scene because Billie Piper, she is going for the Oscar. She's trying so hard, and like, especially when it's on her face, and she's like trying to pull it apart.
But it's clearly her holding it on her face. It's so good.
Yeah, when the doctor's getting choked out, his face is so silly. Oh my god!
And then he takes the arm and leaves. That's what it is.
We have to talk about the Googling scene.
Yes.
When she types in doctor.
Just, like, you're like, oh, wow, I wonder what could have come up. And then, what does she say? It's like Dr. Alien or something like that? What does she type in?
Doctor Living Plastic, and then she types in blue box.
Yes, that's what it was. She sees the box and sees it disappear. Well, she doesn't see it actually disappear.
No, she doesn't see that. Wait, does she type in blue box?
I think so.
Because that's what prompts her to find Clive's website.
Oh yeah, can we talk about the fact that she has to go to her boyfriend's house to use the internet?
Yeah.
Like, that is so funny to me. No, I think she sees the box and then it's gone.
Well, what happens is she runs past it and you, the viewer, are like, oh my god, it's the TARDIS!
Yeah.
But I don't think she sees it. So wait, what is she... I literally just watched this episode.
I know,
she types in doctor something and comes to this website by a man named Clive,
the icon, the legend himself.
And she, a 19-year-old girl, decides to go to this man, and it's funny
man. Because, and they call it out too.
But it's funny because Mickey is literally like, you can't do this. Like, you shouldn't be going to this grown man's house. And she's like, it's fine. It's like, whatever. Is that why she ends up hanging out with a man that's like 4 times her age? Like
1,000 times her age.
Oh my god.
No, I love that scene too because I think it's either the son or the wife is like, you're a lot different than the ones that normally show up here, which implies that there's some like weird basement dwellers that show up at Clive's house. What happens is
she shows up to the house, his son is like, one of your nutters is here.
Yeah.
His wife shows up and is like, a girl is
here?
What? And then they go into his creepy, like, what was it?
It's his
garage?
shed.
Yeah, his shed where he's got all these pictures and...
My favorite scene.
The Kennedy assassination.
The implication that the doctor showed up to make sure that Kennedy got assassinated.
Because it's like the Kennedy assassination, he saved this family from going on that Titanic.
Yeah.
Something else happened, and it's like, he saved these people's lives. He did not save Kennedy's life.
He was the second
and
shooter.
he's just in the background. Like, the poor photoshopping cracks me up.
Funny. He looks so out of place. The doctor, usually his costume is, like, timeless enough.
Nah, he was like full on wearing leather jacket.
He was in that was the thing. I loved Nine's costume because like
it's very iconic.
It's very iconic. It's different than the other two, but it's like it really makes him stand out. That's the only thing.
My sister, when we were watching this episode the other day, she asked me how he was able to be in all of those pictures, and I'm like, bestie, he's got a time machine. And she forgot. She was like, oh yeah, I thought he was just like living through all this time. I'm like, no, he's got a time machine.
She forgot the point of Doctor Who.
Oh my god, it was so funny. And then...
I love that scene. Just the, like, look, he's in this newspaper, and you're like, oh, hi, Christopher Eccleston. What are you doing here?
It reminds me a lot of What We Do in the Shadows, where they just kind of Photoshop their pictures onto the thing.
Only this was 2005, so the quality was significantly lower.
The quality in the What We Do in the Shadows Photoshopping is also not great.
It's not great, but it's
funny. Yeah. In my notes, I wrote, why was he at the Kennedy assassination with 2 question marks? And then immediately after that, I wrote, LMAO, the Mickey plastic scene, which my sister was losing her mind.
Oh my god.
Because
when he gets the CGI.
So, while he's waiting for Rose, he hears something in, like, the garbage can. He's like, that's weird. First of all, it's probably just a raccoon.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would have thought.
Me too. But also, it is following him. Like, it's getting closer.
Oh yeah, it's, like, moving. And he's like, what the heck? So he opens it, nothing's in there. And then when he goes to move his hands away, But it's not that bad.
It's still really bad.
Compared to what's about to happen, it's not that bad.
The thing that kills me is this move.
Yeah.
Where he's pulling his hands away.
And it's, like, sticking to him.
But you can see that there's no tension there.
Yeah, because he's just kind of moving his hands.
Kind of moving. There's no resistance. And then, like, when he turns around and it's, like, behind him, and you're like, bestie, did no one give you any mime training?
No. And then he immediately gets eaten. And then it burps.
Oh, camp.
But, okay, so this is the part that I noticed upon rewatching. Rose gets back in the car. He's obviously plastic.
Ken Mickey.
He looks like a Ken doll. He's got like I think
they gave him like Lego hair.
I think they gave him Lego hair, the sharpest hairline. But I think they actually put like some kind of prosthetic on him.
They put like something on him.
But in the next scene, he's not wearing that. All he has is makeup. Yeah. That makes him look really like hard edges.
Him shape.
And the fact that Rose couldn't tell is very telling.
Yeah. Like, Rose does not give a shit about this poor man.
I feel bad for Mickey, but also, like, they should just break up.
Yeah.
They're just 2, like, 19-year-olds that probably have been dating since high school and haven't figured out how to break up and be themselves.
I realize, I don't know if this, I obviously am a fake fan and I haven't watched much past 11, but at the time, I remember making this comment of, the Doctor has kissed every single one of his companions except Mickey. He kissed Rose, he kissed Jack, he kissed Donna, Martha, Rory, Amy.
The fact that he kissed Rory is so funny.
Literally all of them. Mickey is the only one he didn't kiss.
I cannot remember past if he kissed Clara, he definitely did not kiss Bill, because she's a lesbian.
Right, yes.
But yeah, up until, I think, Amy and Roy, he had kissed every single one. Kiss your homies on the lips, except for Mickey.
He's not a homie.
So, okay, we haven't got to the end of the episode, but when he's like, he tells Rose that she's invited to come and hang out with him, and he's like, not Mickey.
No.
Mickey's not allowed.
No. No, he shows up at the restaurant where Mickey and Rose are, and he offers them wine, and Mickey's like, not now, and then he's like, grabs Rose's hand and is like, tell me where the doctor is, and the doctor's like, wine? And is like trying to force it on.
This is where the CGI part comes in, because he pops the cork, hits Mickey in the forehead, and does this weird and
then he spits it out his mouth. It's awful.
And then he beheads Mickey, and the people in that restaurant did not act appropriately.
No, it was problematic.
They were confused, but they were not screaming. I would have been.
He tears
the head off.
So, and also, Mickey's arms have now morphed into
like
because they paddles.
Plastic.
Yaoi paddle hands.
Which makes sense. The paddles make sense. What happens later with the bullets makes no sense.
But, so, headless Mickey is chasing them into this back alley. The doctor...
this is when they go into the TARDIS for the first time.
The doctor's holding his decapitated head.
What all Rose knows is her boyfriend.
Yes. Rose goes into the TARDIS. We see the glorious view of the new TARDIS.
The disgusting red-green lighting.
Yes.
I made a specific note about that.
It's rancid, and I love it so much. She does the obligatory, goes in... is shocked, goes out, looks at the TARDIS, pokes her head back in, pokes it out, starts feeling up the outside of the TARDIS, and then the whole time, Mickey is trying to kill them. Like, she's, like, having this moment of, like, oh my god, it's bigger on the inside, when there's a living mannequin trying to murder them. Like, time and place.
Priorities.
Eventually... she like goes back in, and the doctor has Mickey's plastic head on the dashboard of the TARDIS and is trying to use it to figure out where it comes from.
This is the part that is both hilarious and also like says a lot about his doctor, is that he doesn't care, because Rose like mentions specifically many times that she's gonna have to tell Mickey's family that he's dead. Like, she's worried about Mickey. The doctor doesn't care at all. Like, and then and it's like a comedic moment, but like he doesn't even think about Mickey's, like, the plastic Mickey head. He puts it on the thing and it melts. It melts. And Rose is like, you're not even paying attention to Mickey now. You just melted his head.
And then he's like, what, really? It's like my mom accidentally left the toaster on the stove and then turned on the wrong thing, and it like melted the bottom of the toaster to our stovetop. He did that to Mickey's head. He turned on the wrong burner on Mickey's head, and the goopy, like, generic sound effect of, like, as it's, like, melting, and he's like, no! And then the TARDIS does its thing and whooshes away.
And then the scene with the eye.
The eyes.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Well, and, like, fast forwarding a little bit, because, like, the scene with the eye where Rose, like, points out, it's right there. Like,
it would be in the middle of a city, and it'd have to be giant and satellite shaped, and you're just like, doctor,
like,
please.
the doctor is so he's high intelligence, low what's the, like, he's got
high wisdom, low intelligence.
He's got high intelligence, low wisdom.
Is that autistic, rizz?
He thinks so hard about things, but not hard enough.
He's too literal.
Yeah. Yes, autistic he's got the autistic rizz. And Rose is there to be like, dude, look behind you.
The baddie I pulled with my autistic.
And then the scene after this that happens is because like you kind of are starting to feel how Rose and Nine like interact. Like Rose challenges him a lot, but also like helps him point out things that he doesn't think of.
And of course, in this moment, we get the first Fantastic with his full mouth smile. I love Nine. He's so charming.
He's so like he's got this like undeniable darkness to him, but he's so like easy, and he hates when people are annoying, and I feel that.
Is it this episode or the second episode where we get the every planet has a north line?
I think it's this one. It's while they're walking after they leave the build. Or no. It's after, I think it's after this moment when they're walking in and she's like, oh, we should call the cops. And he's like, what are they going to do? And then she's like, so if you're an alien, why do you have like a northern accent? And he's like,
every planet's got a north.
Every planet's got a north.
I love that line. What is... I just remember all the memes about his ears.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, because he, for some reason, this is the first time he looks at himself in the mirror, and you don't really know how long it's been since he regenerated.
Yeah.
But he's like, dang, I got big ears. Like,
I do like, it's when he's in the apartment that he comments on the ears. I do love the idea that, like, the doctor, because he's clearly been around for a while, because he's been time traveling, and because, you know, we saw him at the Kennedy assassination. So that implies that he's been so busy making sure that JFK got shot that he didn't look in the mirror at any point. Does the TARDIS not have mirrors?
Oh yeah, so they go into the
sewers.
They go there, and the TARDIS is in there, and they find the terrible CGI plastic,
and like, Mickey just chained to a fence.
Yeah, well, yeah. Mickey's alive, but for some reason the other guy wasn't, like, the guy in the beginning. Isn't alive. It's whatever.
It's weird. Mickey is the only one they scripted in.
But Mickey the entire time he's like crying. He's like holding onto Rose.
Oh my god.
And when the doctor's like captured and he's got like the anti-plastic whatever, and the doctor's like,
one of the funniest things I've ever heard. This little blue vial of like glow stick fluid, and they're like, it's anti-plastic. You're like, what does that mean?
It doesn't matter, it's science fiction.
Yeah.
And he's telling Rose to like get into the TARDIS and leave because whatever. Mm-hmm. And this is when the murder spree happens, when all the mannequins come to life.
Right, and the mass shooting via mannequin.
Yeah, which is a scene that I feel like would not be okay to show now.
No, because like
it's horrifying, actually.
It's very disturbing when you actually think about it. Like, if you remove the fact that
in the context of modern, like, 2023.
Yeah, with the like weird handgun.
Which, where do they get the bullets?
It's they're plastic bullets.
But why? So they morphed the mechanism for a gun.
Yeah.
Into their why?
Because
I don't know. But Jackie almost beefs it in this episode, and then Clive dies off screen
in front of his wife and children.
And it's kind of like a terrifying scene, but like all you see is the gun, and then he's like, "Oh no," and then that's it, and you're like, "Oh my god, Clive, I'm so sorry."
Clive got off screen in front of his family, and we are just supposed to forget about him.
Yeah, and then they kind of like whatever that
justice
that
for
happens.
Clive, man.
Clive, he had this whole website, and the doctor will never know him.
I do love the idea that the glass at this mall is so weak that a karate chop from plastic, like, just absolutely shatters it just to shreds.
Yeah.
And you're just like, I feel like y'all need better glass. Like, you like slap that wrong and it's down for the count. Also, the children mannequins are the most
Oh my god,
concerning.
the children mannequins are so funny.
They're like, I just love the idea that they had to hire these kids to like put them in this plastic suit.
Well, there's the bit from X-Files where they talk about the aliens and how they're just kids in costumes because the kids have they do the best job of acting weird.
Yeah.
And like being in costume like that, so I feel like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's definitely not a scene that would exist today.
No.
Because it's too real.
It's too real. But the scene that happens afterwards, the ending scene where like Rose has this triumphant moment, is probably one of my favorite scenes of Rose. Mm-hmm. Because she, like, the doctor's, he can't do anything.
Doesn't she make a joke about like 7th grade gymnastics or something like that?
Yeah, so what happens is she's like, Mickey, this scene goes on for way too long.
Way too long.
But Mickey and her are like kind of clutching the TARDIS because they don't know what to do. And then Rose, who has kind of always been like, this entire episode, like a woman of action, like she wants to do something, she realizes this is her chance. Mm-hmm. And she mentioned, wish I wrote it down, but she says like, she has no, whatever the British version of like, diploma.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
GCSEs, I want to say.
Yeah. I should have looked up the specific scene. She has no A-level, she has no future, she has no job. Mm-hmm. Like, she literally realizes that she's got nothing going for her. It's this moment of, like, what you realize how she thinks of herself.
Yeah.
But that she doesn't want to be that person. And she's like, but you know what I do have? I did gymnastics in grade 7 or something.
Which is so relatable.
And then she pulls the chain off and kicks the guy.
And the anti-plastic goes into
saves the doctor, and it's awesome.
It's honestly such a good moment.
And then when the doctor kind of grabs her while she's, like, swinging down and they kind of hug, I'm like, this is when I think the doctor, like, respected her.
Yeah.
And realized, like she is a force of nature.
Yes.
And then, the scene after that is when he's like, you can come with me if you want.
And then Mickey is just completely engulfing her legs.
But what I love about this is that Rose can tell this man is an alien. He is probably immortal, like he's got a time machine, and she immediately is like, you would have died without me.
Yeah.
Like,
she knows her worth,
she's
man.
got her arms crossed, she's like, I am the reason I saved this. Like, you did nothing.
Yeah. And the doctor is like,
yeah,
right.
He literally is like, I wouldn't have survived without you, and that's why he's like, come with me.
Feminist icon.
And she's like, oh, I gotta take care of Mickey. Like, he's a dog.
Oh my god, I feel so bad.
Yeah, the doctor's like, well, you're invited, he's not. And then he leaves, and then he comes back, he's also like, it's also a time machine. And she's like, okay, let's go.
See you, Mickey. And it's, like, it's that, like, I feel bad for Mickey, because, like, he's got nothing going on, and, like, this is kind of jumping ahead, but I don't want to say Rose is emotionally manipulating him, but there's some bad vibes.
I just don't think that they were prepared for an adult relationship.
No, but
yeah, she's also, like,
kind of being problematic.
She is a little bit of a toxic girlfriend.
Yeah, I guess, like, gatekeep girl
She
boss.
should have, like, left him.
She should have properly broken up with him.
Instead of, like, kind of especially since Mickey knows that later with the 10th Doctor that they're, like, an item, and he's kind of, well, I mean, they do break up.
Eventually.
They are just friends after a while, but she probably should have let him go.
Properly let him go. But, like, at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Don't let men hold you back.
Yeah.
You deserve better than that.
I do think Mickey was an interesting character because it's, like, especially since Rose kind of brings him along, it's almost like she doesn't want to give up this human part of her.
Yeah.
And then when Mickey finally, like, leaves and is like, hey, like, I'm never gonna be what you want me to be.
Yeah.
She realized, like, I think she fully goes into with the doctor, and it's like, this is my life now.
Alien fucker.
I literally wrote my notes. Rose is immediately DTF for an alien.
Hopefully.
So, like, even if their first meeting wasn't, like, a sexual romantic, she was immediately like, you're an alien?
Yeah.
We're hanging out now.
I just, like, she is into him very quickly. And, like,
whether it's platonic, sexual, romantic,
whatever it is,
immediately is obsessed with him.
And, like, I do love the idea that it's because she's actually into DILFs, and, like, that's, like, her problem, is, like, it's just the fact that he looks like a middle-aged man that she's, like, really vibing with.
That he's kind of feral. He's got that autistic rizz.
He really do! But it's so good. I love their, like, dynamic right off the back. I love how sassy he is.
Yes. And this is what I was thinking about, especially since Christopher Eccleston recently at a Comic-Con. Christopher Eccleston recently mentioned that no other, like, his doctor wouldn't have liked any other companion. Like, Rose is his companion.
Could you imagine Nine and Donna?
But that's what I was thinking. I think Donna's the only other character.
Yeah.
And I don't think Nine would have liked Donna, but I think he would have respected her.
Yes.
Because Donna and Rose both have this, like, lower class, like, they don't really have a future, they don't really have any kind of job secure, like, they have no career or they don't have a life.
I think the reason, just sorry to cut you off, I think the reason why people like us resonated so hard with Rose is she was us.
Yeah.
We had no idea where we were going with our life, especially looking at, the way the world went. Yeah. For all we know, we had no potential. But then here's this completely ordinary, unspecial person who is now one of the most special people in the universe. Like, she was a perfect audience surrogate without seeming like a Mary Sue. Yeah. Like,
her and Donna both, they both had that moment where they're completely ordinary, but they get to be the hero. Yeah. And in their own way. They're not suddenly turned into this, I mean, Rose, you know, she gets bad wolfed, she
almost dies because of it. Yeah. It's fascinating because it feels, you know, like, I think a lot of the companions, not all of them, but, like, at least in, like, the seasons that I watched, are very good feminist characters without forcing it. Like, obviously they are very flawed. Yeah. But, like,
it was 2005 to 2008.
I'm not saying it's perfect by any stretch, but, like, even the fact that Martha chooses to leave, like, that is a bad bitch move. Well, you know you deserve better than this ancient alien creature. Good for you.
Yeah. Like, I wish that her entire character wasn't his rebound, but
that's the thing that we'll get to Martha.
If you look at her, like, all of the companions, so Rose, you have this, like, 19-year-old working class, like, she's not special. No. Then you have Martha, who is in university to study to become a doctor. She has a future, and she realizes that, and she's, like, kind of self-assured that she's going to have a future. But
the Doctor basically was her problematic college boyfriend. And then she realized she deserved better than him, and then went and became amazing.
Even, like, Martha was she the first black companion?
As far as I know.
Not only that, but she was a black woman becoming a doctor, and Martha, the way she was written, it was a little problematic.
It was a little black girlfriend-y, like the throwaway black love interest.
But they did use Martha as an opportunity to talk about the way, in some of the historical episodes, the way that women, but also, like, she was also a character that could relate to minorities, to people that were, like, lower class and stuff, like how Rose and Donna, whenever they see, like, when Rose sees, in the next episode, sees the plumber and talks to her, and then Donna immediately empathizes with the Ood. Like, they see people that are, what's the word? Like,
they see the humanity in them, basically.
Not the humanity, but, like, they can see that they're being used.
Working class unite.
She
was the first female black companion, so maybe there was a guy.
I think there was, yeah.
Let me look
in Classic Who. But yeah, Martha's a great character. And
she gets overlooked.
Yeah. And I think maybe she gets overlooked because she wasn't that kind of working class character, but I think her being
she was... Yes, she was the first black companion, so... Martha has been described in newspaper reports as, quote, the first ethnic minority companion in the 43-year television history of Doctor Who. Martha's status as first black companion depends on whether you consider Mickey as a companion.
I don't.
Yeah, I would say no, not to disrespect.
He was, like, a companion in some episodes, but he didn't really have a purpose.
He when people talk about companions, you're not going to talk about Mickey. Like, Rory is another one that kind of skirts that line.
But he does become a companion.
Exactly.
It sucks.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love Martha.
The problem is, though, it takes another 10 years for another black female companion.
Yeah, which is...
And Bill only also gets one season.
Yeah.
And then immediately after that, they... this is, like, getting way ahead, but the 13th Doctor's companions are they're also 19, for some reason. It is a 19-year-old black man and a Indian woman. And Yaz and Ryan are great. I think they're great. And then you also have their token old white man.
Yeah.
Who's also a great character. But yeah, like, man, Martha was great. Donna, and then...
We'll get to Amy. I have mixed feelings about Amy. I think the thing with Amy, this is completely off topic, if it wasn't Karen Gilliam, if it wasn't Karen, that character would be a lot weaker.
Oh, she put a
owns that role. She's amazing. I love her.
I think they just couldn't decide whether she was supposed to be the
Rose or Donna.
Yeah.
So they just smushed it together. Oh my god, I'm looking.
But yeah, the Russell T Davis era. Is that his last name? Davies?
Russell...
Is it Davies or Davis?
Let me look, because I'm blanking on it now.
The 9th and 10th Doctor companions are so, like...
Russell.
Specific, like, they are great audience surrogates while also being their own character.
Russell T Davies.
I keep calling him Davis.
No, I love the first episode. Like, it was such a strong jumping off point for the series. It was... so unhinged.
It was not only was it a good jumping off point for the series, but like to reboot a show and that be the first episode was very bold, because obviously the old time fans were excited to see the Doctor again, and then you had these new fans that were excited to get into it. But it starts with the companion. Yeah. Which I thought was really interesting.
I was looking at again, this is Wikipedia, so, like, take everything with a slight grain of salt. But it looks like the Nestine consciousness was from Classic Who. It was, like, from, like, a special from the 70s.
There's a lot of references that I'm like, I know that someone will understand this, and I'm like, I know it's a reference to an old, like, episode from 30 years ago. Yeah. I'm just gonna accept that I'll never know.
Well, it's like, I think I will say the one thing about New Who that is good for that is they're very good at bringing back classic things and then still explaining it. Mm-hmm. Because, like, the Cybermen, the Daleks, like, all of that kind of stuff, where it's like, oh, if you're a fan of Classic Who, you'll know who this is, but...
These are also going to become their own characters.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy.
Like, it's interesting. I love the TARDIS. Like, that's... Yeah. It's such a Like, the inside is such an unhinged design.
And they managed to fit in a lot of, like, explaining away the interesting little aspects of the Doctor that old fans would understand, but new fans would be kind of confused, like, why does the TARDIS look like a
police box?
And Rose even mentions that, and she's like, it doesn't fit. And he's like, it's in disguise. And she's like, it's 2005, like, it doesn't fit here.
I love that, like, I will say the one thing that makes me laugh, looking back on, like, Who, and, like, thinking about, like, watching all of this stuff for the first time, you accept so much bullshit so quickly. Yeah. Like, you're just so normalized to this box.
And you're like, well, because they explain it so casually, it's like, yeah, that's a fact that I'll understand, and then you realize later, like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Or just the fact that it's called a TARDIS?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of time and relative dimensions in space? Like, what?
Nerd.
Hey.
No, my sister asked me what that meant. I was like, it actually means time, and she's like, okay.
Or how about the fact that TARDIS sounds like that because he won't take the parking brake off?
Wasn't that something that they added
later? Well, because when River flies the TARDIS, she flies it like 1,000 times smoother, and she's like, you gotta take the parking brake off.
Dumbass.
My favorite thing about that fact is the Doctor is so stubborn that even though she reminded him that the parking brake is on, the TARDIS continues to make that noise, implying that he put it back on. To spite her. It's
like when you put a card into your bike wheel to make the funny noise. Like, that's literally that.
That's so unhinged.
I think the TARDIS, the sonic screwdriver, and then the psychic papers next episode.
Oh yeah.
Those are like the two things they were like, this is what you need to know.
Yeah.
They don't actually explain the sonic screwdriver in the first episode, which is interesting because me watching it again, I already know the sonic screwdriver.
Could you imagine just seeing him whip out this thing and it goes and then that's it? That's the end of the conversation? Sure. You're like, okay.
I think Nine's sonic screwdriver is a lot easier to understand because it looks like a pen.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so that does something. If you went and watched, like I did, the 11th Doctor, and he pulls out his insane sonic screwdriver, and you're like, what in the world is that? That's a little bit harder to explain. I think we need to stop talking. I hope you enjoy listening to us go from topic to topic.
20 years of Who.
Just getting completely... We should call it Distractable.
Doctor Who Distractable. Man, I wonder if there's an award-winning podcast. We just plug Distractable in our own podcast.
It's gonna happen.
Oh my god. I already mentioned Markiplier with the mannequin. Oh my god.
Next time on Blue Box Banter. It's the end of time. Rose and Nine go on their first date, the heat death of Earth.
And they listen to Britney Spears.
And Tainted Love.
Tainted Love. Oh my god.
The memest episode to ever exist of Doctor Who.
Oh my god, it really is.
I wrote down every single meme that happened. I mean, got traditional black ballad, toxic, Tainted Love playing, moisturize me, bitchy trampoline.
Thank you so much for listening to this very first episode of Blue Box Banter. You can find us on Tumblr, Instagram, and YouTube under the username Blue Box Banter Podcast. New episodes release Fridays on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Thanks again for listening, and have a fantastic day.